say summaries.
So Anne would be interested, especially there.
George George P. Rothermel and uh, James V. Tourrnoux both died on April 4th, different years, of course. This is a picture of me visiting St. Louis Cemetery, I guess 2016, remembering James Valerian Tourneau, great-great-grandfather. And then George P. Rothermel, I don't remember the year. I'm not going to look it up. But turn of the century, that was the prayer we just did. Oh, there, there's there's the white whiteboard from last week. Sister Margaret Mary. Um, okay, prayer remembering George P. Rothermel, uh, Pope John Paul the First, April 22nd. Summary of the Zoom meeting, April 2, 2025, I guess. All right, let me
Chuck, just a minute. That looks like a real whiteboard. Is it a real whiteboard?
yeah, that's a real whiteboard. Yeah.
Did you write on it?
No, I do everything with artificial
Oh,
intelligence.
that's really cool.
Here, here's
Yeah,
here's
Chuck
a
does a nice
picture.
job.
Hmm.
Here's a picture of our meeting last year at this time. You remember I dug out a picture of the whole Siegfried family, sister. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I
So
I
that
thought
that
that
was that
that's
was kind of the highlight
a good picture.
last year. I got James V. Tourneau died April 2nd, 1893. George P. Rothermel died April 2nd, 1897. Now, you know who George P. Rothermel is. Maybe I should read the story from last week. I
Yeah.
couldn't read the story because we didn't meet. I'm not going to read the story.
Yeah, read this Noah
Read the
story. I think
story.
Anne might.
P. Rothermel.
Totally.
All right, here it is. Remembering George P. Rothermel died. Now, Cindy should know something about George P. Rothermel. Remembering George P. Rothermel died April 2nd, 1897. George P. Rothermel, his story. I remember the day we arrived in Randolph, Ohio, a small town surrounded by vast fields and forests. I was just 10 years old, holding onto my parents' hands as we stepped off the ship from Holland, Germany. The year was 1840, and our family is ready for a new life. As I grew up, I fell in love with the land. My parents, Peter, who was a weaver in the old country, and Margaret Rothermel worked tirelessly to build a home and a farm. I helped with the chores, learning the ways of the land alongside my father. We were dairy and vegetable farmers, and I took pride in our work. I met Catherine Greer, a beautiful young woman from Germany, and we married. We built a life together, working the land and raising our family. We had 7 children, and our oldest, Peter G., was a bright and curious boy. Life was simple, but hard work was a part of every day. We rose with the sun, tended to the animals, and worked the fields. Catherine was the backbone of her family, managing the household and caring for the children. Years passed and our family grew. Peter G. grew up and married a wonderful woman, Margaret Horning, also from a family of early settlers, but that's another story. And they had 8 children, including a daughter, Clotilda, born in 1886. I remember the day she was born. I was 56 years old, and my heart swelled with joy. She was my 8th grandchild. I looked back on my life from a young immigrant to a patriarch of a thriving family. Randolph, Ohio had been good to us. Land had given us a living, and our family had grown strong. I was grateful for the life we'd built, and I knew that Clotilda would be a part of it, something special. Does anybody need an explanation of who any of these people are? Clotilda. And you know who Clotilda was?
That's my mother.
Yeah, I think Sister Margaret Mary knows who Clotilda is. I thought Cindy might know too, but anyway, that's a nice story, don't you think?
Yes, that's why I requested it.
Very
Okay.
beautiful. I
Very
think
So anyway,
nice.
that's the picture there of the whole, we had a very interesting, I should have put a little video or a clip, they call them clips, on whiteboard of our discussion last year because everybody was real excited to see that picture. Let me see, I just want to make sure you noticed this picture here. That was me in 2016 feeding the grave of James V. Tourrnoux. He died April 2nd, 1893. So same, they're both great-great-grandfathers. You know, I always get confused with the George and the Peters on the Rothermel side because there was about 3 or 4 generations in a row that were either George Peter or Peter George, and I always have to look it up. We
Yeah,
should.
where's Louisville, Ohio?
Oh, it's real close to Canton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's real close to Canton. Most of my relatives on my father's side are buried there or
Or
Canton.
live there.
Yeah, they live there, especially the Tournoux and the Pillets. You know, Daisy Pillet, right? By the way, the Civil War came to an end a couple of days ago in 1865.
Oh, that's right. It was April.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of things happened in
was.
April. Was it April 4th? No, not the 14th. We're not there yet. April 9th?
You
I
might
should
be April 9th.
I
It
should
might
know
be
that.
April 9th. Yeah, it was just like a couple of days ago. Today's the 10th, so it might have been yesterday. I
I'm
can
just
look it
glad
up,
I
but
knew it was 7
It was
o'clock.
it was April 9th. 18, yeah. I knew it was 1865. I wasn't sure of the year.
yeah, I'm just scanning my Facebook post. Of course,
Hmm.
2 years ago, I was in Akron for that solar eclipse.
That's
Remember
right.
that? Yeah, so we were all
Yeah.
there. We did that. It was such a wonderful thing to behold, to
Huh.
see
Right.
see
Beautiful.
to see totality, because yeah, we had to go. We were in your backyard practically, Linda.
Very
Weren't
close.
yeah.
Yeah, I just my school's like a half mile down the road.
Wow. My son actually drove up from North Carolina there with his family. Maybe you
Really?
saw him.
Did you
My
go
son.
to
Hmm.
Let's ask Sister about the picture in the middle there. April 5th, 2018, the blessing of the renovated chapel, St. Elizabeth Hospital. Of course, Sister probably was the very important person there. Sister, do you want to say anything about that gathering?
Yeah, yes, that's Monsignor Robert Sifrin was the celebrant of the Mass for the dedication. It was dedicated in honor of Sister Consolata Klein, and that was Sister Toby. She was our pastoral leader at the time, April
We met her
5th.
at Harvest Fest.
And then the next one was Paul Hummock. He's the president of the Mercy Health Foundation of Mahoney County. And the two gentlemen on the left are administrators of different levels at Mercy Health. The one right above me is Klein. His name is Klein also, but not not related to Sister Consolata. He is right now been promoted over and over again because of his fine work. The one gentleman to the left, right now he's lost a lot of weight. He doesn't look that way anymore, but he was pretty overweight there. he was in charge of St. Elizabeth Hospital at the time of the dedication. So it was a glorious day because it took quite a while to get the renovation completed. I was a volunteer at the time, of course, and I watched the progress day by day to see that behind the folks there, you'll see that one of those bricks were put in one at a time to make that wall of beautiful. So thank you. Thank you for listening.
All right. Well, that's all I had for you today. When I send the summary of this meeting out, I'll also send out the summary of last week's meeting by myself. And yeah, then that'll be the story of George P. Rothermel. I like that story myself. So
That's a nice
so
story.
you might remember your grandmother Clotilda writing something for you about George P. Rothermel.
Yes, we talked about that before. in my
Okay.
Agnes book.
All right. Well, anyway, that's kind of an expanded version of that story with other detail. Okay.